Hey, it's Peter Rosenberg from Hot 97 ESPN and the WWE. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what you're doing. You're tuned in. You're listening wrestling. You're talking wrestling. You're doing it with sports guys talking wrestling.
When they're not covering the sports world, they're talking about the world of professional wrestling. It's Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. Here's Stu Myrick.
It is Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the Horn, 104.9 AM, 1260. Stu Myrick flying solo this week. Justin Simmons has the week off, and this is a very special Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. We get to have a conversation with one of the most iconic superstars in the WWE, has had a long career, and this is not just a career retrospective, but this is going to go to the heart of an issue that a lot of people deal with, not just in the wrestling business, but obviously throughout society. And it's the issue of addiction, of alcohol and drug abuse. We just lost Brian Christopher to depression, and there was alcohol and drugs involved. And so this gentleman has had his battles with those demons, and it's a story of rising to the pinnacle of success while battling those demons, and then having those demons almost destroy what he created, but then coming out on the other side. We talked to Jake the Snake Roberts a couple years ago, and we talked about how it was a story of trials and tribulations, but it was a story of hope. And this is what this story is about. And never mind the fact that his last name is synonymous with one of the greatest families in wrestling, especially right here in Austin, Texas. It is an honor and a privilege to be joined in studio this week by none other than the Golden One. He is WWE superstar Goldust, a.k.a. Dustin Rhodes. What's up, Goldie? How you doing, my friend?
How you doing, boss?
I'm good, man. I try to do that because I know how much you love the theme, your old natural Dustin Rhodes theme. So I figured I'd go with the Goldust one.
That's a good one. The natural. People love that music.
You in fact, when you guys did the Starrcade event,
we did, yeah.
And you came out as the natural, and they played that old theme, and you talked about how much you hated that theme.
I did at the beginning, but then once I thought about it, it was like, I really don't, because everybody really loves it. It's just, it sounds different to me now than it did back then,
Well, I think it's a matter of the time frame. When it was created. We're talking late 80s, early 90s?
91.
91,
too,
okay.
Think, somewhere around
there.
So
I think,
Michael Hayes wrote that.
That explains a lot. Yeah. So, no, I love Michael Hayes. Come on, Freebirds. I want to talk about, let's talk about your story, because again, as I mentioned, we've heard this story a lot. One of the first people that I got to talk to when we started the show was Jake the Snake Roberts, and this was right around the time that the Resurrection of Jake the Snake came out.
Oh, great show.
Oh, it was a fantastic movie. So I wanted to talk about your story because, not only are you dealing with all the different issues that wrestlers deal with, the lifestyle and everything, but you're also dealing with the fact that you come from a wrestling lineage. You're the son of the dream, the son of the plumber, so to speak. And I know that just like with anyone that comes from a famous parent, someone that was in the business, I know that had to put a bit of pressure on you. Talk about that for a second.
Well, growing up, in the household with Dad, Dusty Rhodes he was a big anti-drug, so he implanted that in our heads at a very young age, and we grew up thinking, God, if I get caught smoking a joint or doing something like that in high school, he's going to kill me. So I stayed away from it, really. I drank alcohol like anybody else does, usually in high school when they're not supposed to, and did some stupid, crazy things. But really stayed away from drugs. And then, as life progresses and I get broken into the business, which Dad did not want to break me into the business, and he wanted me to play college football, and I had scholarship offers.
Where did you have offers from?
I had Utah State, Louisville, Ohio State, North Carolina State, Clemson.
And what position?
Defensive tackle.
Okay. All right.
And I kind of wanted to go to Louisville. Eric Watts was there. He was the quarterback at that time. And they brought me in, for the 2-day, really the party type thing where you just kind of go around and hang out with the players and stuff and see if you really like it and if this was the place for you. And the coach came to our house a couple of times. And as my senior year progressed, my grades just plummeted, and they weren't good, and my ACT scores were not good. And once Dad saw that, he's not putting much effort into his classwork, which, looking back on it now, I wish I would have, But can't take anything, can't change the past. So once he realized I was not going to go to college and play football, he decided to break me in. Now, up until this point, he has kept it very, very hush-hush with me. It's been very secretive, very secretive. So although I think I know all there is to know about the pro wrestling industry, I had no idea, And every time I would bring something up about, well, was that real? Did you really get hurt? And this and that, he would cut me off. And at the end of the conversation between him and I damn sure believed it. So he kept it very, very private. And it goes back to the time where the Four Horsemen broke his leg. And I remember him having the cast on his leg, and he wore the cast at home.
Right.
In the house with us.
Right. You said it was secretive. Was he doing that because he was trying to keep kayfabe, or was it
he was protecting the business?
Or was he protecting you from the business?
I think he was just protecting the business at that point.
Okay.
And anybody who had eyes upon that, they wanted to make sure that, this is real. What we're watching is real, and he really took pride in making our business real. And I believed it, and then one day I caught him taking off his cast. I didn't say a word. I wasn't about to say anything about that. But from there, I was kind of, it's just, I had those questions like, yeah, man. But since I was 6 years old, all I wanted to do was wrestle. All I wanted to do was follow in my dad's footsteps. So we lived in McKinney, Texas. I picked him up from the airport one day. It's about a 45-minute drive. And he said, okay, we got 45 minutes. He said, I'm going to give you a crash course right now of the business. So I'm like, what? What? Okay, cool. I'm listening. I'm driving him back. I haven't wanted you to get in the business, but I know you really want to. And he kind of just said, okay, I'm going to give you this chance now. What you're going to do is you're going to go to Champs Sporting Goods. I don't even know if they're still around anymore. I want you to buy a referee shirt. I want you to buy some black pants. I'm going to have you referee a couple matches in Amarillo, Texas. I'm going to be on my private jet while you're driving to Amarillo, Texas. You're going to start paying your dues if you want to be in this business. So I said, okay, no problem. This is great. I can't wait.
Right.
Go get my ref shirt, all that stuff. They fly to Amarillo. I take my sweet time driving there, which is about a 6-hour drive, and it's my first time out on the road by myself. And I get checked in. I don't have a credit card, anything. And back then, they kind of took cash because it was 1988, or that might have been 87. So I checked in. I went to the building, and we had Mr. Blanchard there with Pops, and they were talking, and they said, okay, we're going to give you these 2 matches, and they're both tag matches. Now, if you've never reffed a match before, you've never been in the business at all before, reffing a tag match is very difficult because there's 2 extra people there. So there's a lot going on, a lot of movement around you, the things you got to look out for, the things you got to turn your back on and things. And me just being thrown in the mix of this and being told what to do, and me being the natural that I am, which is how I got my name, which we can talk about later, but I caught it like a fish to water, man, and it was like, so the first match goes out there, and I'm trying to remember all the things I got to do, and Tommy Young, the senior referee, is sitting ringside, making sure that I don't screw up. So he's there in case something goes wrong. And everybody in the building knows it.
Right. And Tommy Young
This is Dusty's son. This is his first match as a referee.
Tommy Young, one of the longtime officials back in the NWA days, worked for Crockett for so long. Yeah, I remember him vividly.
So he's sitting there. I forget who the first tag match I had. I think it was the Fantastics and somebody. But the second tag match I had was the Rock and Roll Express versus the Midnight Express, and both of those teams I grew up watching, and I loved them. Great, incredible.
One of the greatest rivalries in tag team wrestling ever.
So I'm doing good. The match is going great. I get to the end. I go down for the count 1, 2, 3. I stand up. I'm holding up Ricky and Robert's hands, and everybody in the arena in Amarillo Civic Center is laughing their asses off, and I'm like, oh, God, I messed up. I did something, And Tommy Young's, I'll look down at Tommy Young to get approval or what's going on. He's laughing, and he points down to my crotch. And as he did that, I realized I looked down, and when I went down for the last count, I ripped my pants from the front of the belt loop all the way to the back. I didn't have any underwear on, so everything was hanging out, and I'm standing there with kind of my legs spread, holding up the Rock and Roll Express's arms, and the whole building's laughing. I look to the back, the curtain, wherever it's a curtain sellout. They're all laughing. I make it to the back, embarrassing, but that was my breaking into the business. I'll never forget it. It was awesome.
I mean, things can only go up from there, right?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, the matches were great. I did my job perfectly from what they said, but I ripped my pants, and it was quite a deal.
I can only imagine.
I was very red and embarrassed, and so that kind of kicked it off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I can imagine, especially in Amarillo. You're working for Joe Blanchard. You got Tommy Young there. Two of the would end up being two of the greatest tag teams that ever laced them up. Mm-hmm. And there you are. Let me ask you this. So you talked about being called the natural, and you were a natural at it. Was that something that your dad tagged you with? Was it something that somebody else tagged you with? Because, of course, we knew you. That's what we knew you as in those early days of WCW when you were teaming with the likes of Ricky Steamboat and those guys.
Mm-hmm. Shortly after that my first refereeing experience, he sent me to Skandar Akbar, who had a school down in Dallas, downtown Dallas, and Jackie Moore, which Miss Texas and myself, we broke in the same time. And there was a couple other fellas in it. I can't remember their names, but it was an old boxing ring, no ropes, and we just basically mat wrestled and took a lot of bumps, and that's what Skandar had us do for a couple months.
In a boxing ring, what people don't realize, boxing ring doesn't have the padding of a wrestling ring. It's hard.
Completely on cinder blocks and no padding whatsoever. So it was hard, but when you want to do something your whole life, it's kind of like I had that in me that nothing's going to stop me. I'm going to do this. I'm going to break into the business. I'm going to be a big star. I'm going to make my dad proud. I'm going to make the whole world proud, that kind of thing. And so I did that. And then him and Skandar, I guess, they conversed and had conversations about my progress. So he thought it best to send me to Florida Championship Wrestling with basically his mentor was Eddie Graham, and send me down with my grandma Steve Kern to actually learn how to wrestle in the ring and do shows and things like that nightly, which we were doing every single night. And to this day, I think after the first year is when Dad gave me the moniker The Natural, because I caught it like it was nothing, man. It was so easy for me. It took me probably 4 to 5 months before I really started catching it and could feel it. My footwork was there. My timing is just like some people never get that timing, man. And my timing was always there, and just the fluidity of it, it just was natural to me. And he sent me down there, and for 2 years I learned, and I worked every night, but I made $20 a night. So this is what I'm talking about like paying my dues. And in the 30 years that I've been in the business, those first 2 years were the best I've had
Really?
in the business, and I made zero money.
Right.
But I had fun, and I learned how to work, and I was working in different crowds. And the first night I worked was with Bad Bob Cook.
Okay. Yeah.
And we worked in Palatka, Florida in front of 12 people. And I had a little stack of 5x7s, so I made a little, $30-40 in picture money.
Right.
But the first time he shot me to the ropes, this is my very first match. I hit the ropes with my arms down instead of over the top rope like you're supposed to.
Right.
And it's when you do that, and any of the guys will tell you, you have the chance of snapping your neck because you'll go through that second and top rope. And I did that. And I snapped my neck, and I always lifted my arm from that point forward. I never did that.
Lesson
again.
learned, right?
But the match was fine for my first match, and I was excited about it. I was nervous as crazy, man. Like before that match, there's only 12 people out there. I'm making $20, but my nerves are shot. And then once I got through there and got to the back, and everybody was shaking my hand and congrats on breaking into the business and stuff, it was like. I don't know. It was like new life, man. It was just incredible. It was
It's
an
that
incredible
first taste.
feeling of this is what I loved. I am living the dream now.
I compare wrestling and radio quite often because
Yeah.
the first time you get behind a microphone and your voice goes out to more than just what's in that room, it's same thing. It's
Yeah.
intoxicating, and I'll go a step further. The first time that I was able, so one of my rules is I never get in a ring unless I am part of the show for some reason. So the first time I got to do ring announcing, Sherman for Texoma Pro Wrestling, which I just did. First time I've been in a ring, and climbing through, and to stand. I mean, just to stand in the middle of the ring and in a coat and tie and got a microphone. I mean, I'm used to speaking on a microphone. But to do it in the center of a wrestling ring for a business that I have followed for most of my life, and I turned 50 at the end, in about 3 weeks, and most of my life, I get it now. I totally get it because, and this is in front of 150 people in Sherman, Texas.
Yeah.
They don't know who I am. Now they do because I've been up there a few times, but still, I get it. That it's just that light, there's that something. It just makes you want to do more.
It's a good feeling. I mean,
It
like
is.
when you're talking about talking to an audience over the radio waves as opposed to in front of somebody. It's a different beast.
It is.
And to me, still like when it's if I'm doing a backstage segment with Booker T or R-Truth or something, and it's a funny segment, which I just what's the word for it? I'm very good at that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I love doing the
Yes.
backstage stuff. That's where
I
I thrive.
totally agree.
That's where I thrive.
Yeah,
And
but in
my
fact,
work,
Booker and I have talked about this too. I mean,
Yeah.
some of the stuff you and he did. I mean,
well,
just
the stuff
absolute
with me and
gold.
Booker, they'd hand us a script, and it's like Goldust would never say that, or Booker would never say that. So we made it our own,
Right.
and we played off of each other, and that's what's missing today. Is kids are given a script and they read it verbatim, and it just does not come out the way it needs to come out with their character. They need to make it their own,
Right.
They need to take some words and then use their own words for that, not the writer's words, and that's what's missing.
Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, they do what they can with what they got, and it's and it's hard to do it.
They're also
but
scared.
There needs to be and there needs to be some of that personality, some of that natural, pun intended, that natural personality to come out as well. So talking to Goldust, Dustin Rhodes. So let me ask you this. So let's talk for a little bit about what got you started. Your the first time you started using. You mentioned you drank, which of course, high school kids we all drank. We all had the beer
Which
back
we shouldn't,
stuff.
and it's bad.
But
We shouldn't do that.
We shouldn't, but we do. What was the first time that you did something stronger than say alcohol or something like that?
It was definitely in the business. I'm not sure exactly when it was. It could have been in the first couple of years that I broke into the business because I was out on my own. But the thing that really stuck with me or stuck with me was when I had a knee injury. I had a knee injury with Razor Ramon. We were overseas the first day of the tour, and I hyperextended my knee, and it bent way back, and I crumbled down completely. And Razor, being the professional that he is, he picked me up. He said, small package. So I small packaged in 1, 2, 3. We got out of there real quick before the match even started, really. And I was back there laying on the table, and they took me to the hospital, and I had to go home. But from that day forward, for the next several months, I got into painkillers, and they kind of took control. And I think at one point the boss, excuse me, he saw because us that take them, we don't see what it's doing to us until it's too late. And he saw me in the bathroom one time. I've never told anybody this. And I was putting on my paint, and he was very concerned. And this is where I was very, very close with him as far as talking about our characters, and if I needed anything, to always go to him, because there was going to be some crazy things that were going to happen. And I didn't really realize what he was saying until the crazy stuff happened.
Right.
And he knew that I was taking a couple for my knee injury, and I just kind of blew it off. He said, I don't want you to turn out like so many of the other guys. You don't need that in your life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap, he's saying this. But me being like, 26 years old or whatever it was in 95, I'm young, man. I'm taking on the world. I get it. Thank you, Vince. I appreciate it, but I got it under control.
Right.
And it just kind of, it took hold of me then. And I started getting very addicted to painkillers more and more and more and more. And then that led to just more alcohol. And then that led to cocaine. That led to just all kinds of bad things. And then as the years go on, you kind of level off a little bit. But then it made me worse and worse. My timing in the ring, I gained a lot of weight. I was at the top of my my addiction. I was probably 300 pounds. Now I'm like 235. So it did a lot to me, and I stopped caring. I stopped caring about the business. I still wouldn't drink before, Dad always taught me don't drink before you work, He never really said anything about anything else, about drugs and stuff, about don't be intoxicated. Don't drink before you go out there and wrestle. We like a cold beer after our match. We've had a great match on WrestleMania or something. All the boys go out and they drink a cold beer to celebrate or what. It was kind of a tradition thing. Well, it just got out of hand.
Right.
It got out of hand, and then it went downhill, man, and it's...
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Because you mentioned painkillers, and a lot of wrestlers, the story was it was to take care of the physical pain that they were feeling, whether it was with the knee or shoulder or whatever. Did you ever realize that you were also masking some sort of emotional pain? I know that at that time, and you've talked about this in other interviews, at that time, you and your father did not have a great relationship at that point. You were a bit estranged. Did that contribute to the pain that you were trying to mask, because that with the painkillers and
that probably was also a big contribution to it. Me and my father, we did have a falling out for about 5 years, and we didn't speak. And with us not speaking, that kind of it damaged both of us. And yes, I did. I picked up more and more, and just really didn't rely on anybody, except, I don't need this in my life. I don't need this in my life. I need this here, which was my addiction, and it was taking hold. And I didn't listen to anybody. And I went to work. I did my job, but my attitude wasn't there anymore. And without me going into too much of the emotional stuff, it's because it gets pretty dark and deep, and I know we don't have all night. I don't know. It was a bad time, especially at the start of that with him and I not talking. Go ahead. What was your question again?
Well, and it was
sorry.
No, but I mean, you kind of answered it. Masking the emotional pain as much as the physical pain. And I know you there was a book that you put out back in 2010 where you talk a lot about this, and you mentioned about, for instance, there was times when you didn't want to be around your daughter, Dakota, because of the state that you were in at that time with the addiction.
I think the addiction had really taken hold at that point, and a lot of people don't understand that when addiction is like that, you don't realize what it is doing to you. Other people see it. Other people can't help you. They don't know how to help you, or they try to help you. Nobody can help you but yourself. You have to ask for that help. You have to really, something has to happen to you. You have to hit a rock bottom for that to take place, in my opinion. And I can't speak for anybody else in the business. I can only speak for me. And it got bad to where, I was out of my daughter's life for a couple years, and I didn't care. Looking back on it now, it's terrible. I did not care. My daughter needed her father, and I wasn't there for a couple years of her life because I was too into my cocaine use and painkiller addiction and alcoholism that just took over my life and everything in it. And I did not care about anything. I didn't care about life. I didn't care about a whole lot of things, man. And it got so bad. Mm-hmm. And then, to fast forward just a little bit, my wife, who's sitting in this room with us right now, she was with me. And then, this was after the Black Rain days.
Right. This was you left WWE. You went to TNA, was wrestling under the Black Rain.
But I hate
at
that
character. Time you were.
It was a dark.
It was dark, but you were also in a dark place.
I was in a very dark place, and I was basically robbing from my family to get my fix. To have enough gas money, to have enough cocaine, to have enough liquor, pills. I had pill ladies all over the place. I had 3 doctors. It was very, very terrible. It's no wonder I'm not in prison or dead or in an institution. And doing the Black Rain thing and going down there, almost crashing my car, driving from Gainesville, Florida down to Orlando. It got really bad. So I ended up getting let go of there. I've made so much money in the business that if I had $1, I spent $2. I pawned everything I owned. I lost everything. I was heavily in debt. I lived at the end, and my wife knows, at the end I probably lived in a little 16 by 16 garage that was attached to somebody's house that I was renting out, and they were no good for me either because they were drug users. Mm-hmm. But I locked the door, and I just concentrated daily on how much money am I going to have to go drive to the liquor store? How much money am I going to have to go to my pill lady? Am I going to run out of these pills? But then I got a second pill lady, and then my doctor's that month is up, so then I can go there. But how am I going to get the money for that? So I would call my mom, I would call my dad and my sister to borrow money to say it's for electric or bills or gas or a car payment or something like that. And so when I'm saying stealing from your parents, that's what I mean, and that's basically what I was using for, was to put it up my nose or down my throat. And it got so bad that I never got drunk anymore. Mm-hmm. And I drank a half a gallon of vodka a day. Mm-hmm. I was on about 70 pills a day and about 2 grams of cocaine a day for 2 years. Pretty solid. And I was very lucky not to die. But the last 3 days of this terrible nightmare that I lived in, I got drunk. I don't know what did it, but I got drunk as a skunk, man, on vodka, and I could not kick out. I couldn't walk. I couldn't function. So somewhere I'd heard, well, if you drink more, you can level yourself out or something, or eat some food.
It's kind of the hair of the dog type of deal.
Yes. So I did that. Same thing. Just could not kick out. 2 days go by. 3 days go by. My wife is with me, but she's having to work. She's having to do this and come take care of me too. And I don't know what clicked in my head, but I had terrible cell service where I was at. I had to go up a hill, basically, about 100 yards to get a couple bars, couple bars on my phone. It was raining. It's like 5 in the morning or 4 in the morning. And if it was a spiritual awakening, I'm not sure. Something was telling me that I need to get help.
Was that your rock bottom moment?
That was my rock bottom moment. I was on death's door right there. I was very, very close, and I crawled out. And my wife was helping me, And it's like, what are you doing? This can, she's trying her best to help me up this hill so I can call my dad at 5 in the morning. And, not thinking that this is going to completely freak him out.
Right.
And finally got on the phone and called him, and I'm just crying my guts out, saying I want to get help. And the one good thing that WWE has that I will put up against anybody in the country or anybody in the world is their wellness program.
Yeah.
For any ex-star that is there or any superstar that needs help to go to a rehab facility, it is no questions asked. They'll put you right in. They get you right in. And that was available. Yeah. And that got me in. But by God, I loaded up before I went in, and everybody was worried I wasn't going to make the phone or make the planes to get to rehab.
And that's one of the things we've always heard about WWE with former stars, current stars. Jake went through. We mentioned Jake the Snake, Scott Hall. There's a list of superstars that WWE hadn't been in a WWE ring in a few years. But one phone call and they're getting help, and that's what you talked about with when it comes time to get help, it's you. As much as the family wants to help you, like you said, that addiction just shuts them out. It shuts them out. It clouds you, and they don't know. You're right. In fact, one of the things about substance abuse treatment is it's not just the addict. It's also the family. The family goes through treatment because they have to learn. They have to learn those skills.
They do.
They have to learn those signs and how to cope with those signs.
And they basically teach them too, because my mom came down. My aunt Terrell, my wife, she came down. They went to a class during my time at the rehab facility, where it kind of taught them that the brain disease that it is, and how my mom was really freaking out because all she wanted to do was help, and they're telling her that there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do but just either support them and hope that they make it and that they get the help that they need, or cut them off completely by giving them an ultimatum or something like that, like
an intervention.
An intervention,
exactly.
Which to me I'm completely against. I don't think they work, and it's like they learn how they were enablers to helping me, basically, because I would manipulate them. I would say I need this, and of course they want to. They know I'm in this bad peril.
Right. They don't want to
help
see you in
me.
pain. They don't want to see you in pain.
So that really woke them up to that. Wow, this is much worse than we could ever imagine, and now they have a whole new idea of it. And to go to a rehab facility and to do that 30 days that I did. They wanted me to stay an extra month. I didn't. A lot of people go back and they relapse. And that devil, that demon is on my shoulder, and all I have to do is turn around and go back to him, They gave me the tools, though. They gave me the tools, and
that's what treatment is.
That's exactly what it is.
It's tools to cope. It's tools to help, when that devil pops up on your shoulder. And you're right. I worked on the regulatory side of substance abuse for 16 years. And a lot of counselors, especially in the state of Texas, a lot of counselors are recovering addicts themselves.
Yes.
And you hear those stories about how they had to make multiple trips to rehab, whether it was outpatient or intensive outpatient or even inpatient for a 28-day, 40-day, whatever. And, you would have the relapse, and then you'd go back. And some of it took 2 or 3 times. What scared me with that is some of the people I know had been back a couple of times, and that worried me. And what I did as soon as I got out was find a sponsor, and I went to
AA meetings for 2 years straight every day. And if I missed a day, I might have, but I'm not sure. But 2 years every single day, and it really helped me a lot. And it's been 10 years now, and I have not. Now, like when somebody's drinking around me, it doesn't bother me as much. Now, for me to go into a bar that's nothing but drinking and partying and dancing and stuff, that's not a good idea.
Right.
But I don't have the urge anymore to, pick up pills and cocaine and booze.
Right.
So I'm very thankful
said
that I can
10
have a
years
bad
sober now.
day. Yes.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
May 19th. But I can have a bad day now and it be okay because I've had a bad day clean and sober.
Yes.
So I can make it, And
you know that bad day is
going
going to turn. It'll be a good day the next day.
Yes, it's one day at a time program, and that's all I can live. I cannot look to the future. Like the past is history, tomorrow's a mystery, man. I have today. I have to take what I got today, get through this day clean and sober, no matter how bad it may be.
Mm-hmm.
But I can do it, and now that I have the tools to do that, I don't want to stop. I don't want to relapse. I don't want to go back like so many others.
Right.
I want to keep going. I want to say, damn, I'm proud that I just made 20 years. Damn, I'm proud I just made 30 years,
Right.
So, it's tough.
It is tough, and it's a daily struggle, like you said.
It is.
It is one day. It's a daily battle. You wake up every morning with that, and you've got to fight it throughout the day. Let me ask you this.
Yes.
So you finished the rehab.
Mm-hmm.
You're in 12-step in recovery. That first time you walk back into a WWE locker room getting ready for a WWE event.
Yeah.
What was it like?
That's terrifying. From leaving rehab, I didn't want to leave. I was scared to death to leave the premises, to get in a car, to drive, to do anything. I knew I had to change the geographical location of what I was hanging around and get away from that and put some people out of my life that no longer needed to be there. And then when it finally got time to that, which it took a long time for that because I had to take care of myself first. I had to put my daughter second, which I'd already done that.
Right.
Basically, But now I'm having to say, I've got to put you second. And then family and everything else last, and work last. Mm-hmm. But I have to take care of me first, or I'm not going to be any good out in the world for my daughter, for work, for whatever, and everything will fall into place. Of course, I'm worried to death. How am I going to make money? Well, they teach you. It's a day at a time program. And going back to WWE, that first day in the locker room, everybody's glad to see you. They're hugging you, stuff. It's nerve-wracking. It's scary. Mm-hmm. You don't know if you can be around it, and because they're going to do what they're going to do.
Right.
And I have to stick to my program and do what I'm going to do. And I was scared to death of even getting in a ring because I was scared that I couldn't perform without some kind of painkiller in me or something to help me through the match.
Right.
That's really weird. But I was terrified of that. And once I had my first match back, it was like, wow, I can do this.
Who was the first match? Do you remember? I mean, I'm sure I could look it up, and because they keep, they keep like the internet keeps records of everything.
It was like 2010 or 11, I think.
Okay, I know.
Maybe Ted DiBiase.
Maybe
Junior. And we had a couple months. We were on Sunday Night Heat, and we were tearing up the matches were really good, and I was like, "Wow, man, I'm doing good," and I'm starting to lose weight again, and starting to feel good. And then I found a new addiction, which was going to the gym, and really focusing on trying to lose weight and get fit and stay in shape for wrestling.
Yeah,
and it kind of just the pounds dropped, and I got down to 2. I think the lowest I got down was like 228. And now I kind of fluctuate around 235 and 240, 232, so that's perfect for me.
Right.
If I get any heavier than that, I feel it in the ring now. I can see the little differences. But making it back that first time, it was nerve-wracking. And still today, after 30 years, when you're standing in a gorilla position and right before your music hits, your nerves are just crazy. And everybody says, you still get nervous? Yes.
It means you care about it.
Very much, sir. It does. it means that you care. And I would be worried if you weren't nervous.
Right.
And as soon as that music hits and you walk through the curtain, it goes away.
Yeah.
It goes away, and you're in your element, and you're doing your thing, man. And it's like riding a bicycle. You get back on, and you do it, and play to the crowd, and you tell your story, and hopefully entertain, and leave them home. Go home and leave them happy.
I know that, and I remember when you came back, and and from that moment on, it looked like you were in better shape then than you were in 95 and 96. I mean, you were trim, you were it looked like you got back to the movements. One of the things I always admired was how, because you're a natural, of course, but how smooth you move. The power slams, the different moves. It just, you have a very fluid motion about you.
People have been saying that lately. I've been seeing that a lot lately, and they're comparing like me and Randy Orton together. Mm-hmm. And I can see that, Randy is like unbelievable. I mean, he's so smooth out there. To work with him should be anybody's dream, man. To be in the ring with Randy is fun. It's a lot of fun. And I think that was one of my big matches back, trying to win Cody's job back.
That's right.
Before it all took off with him and I as a tag team.
Yeah. How much fun was that?
That was an incredible
I got to be that.
I
got to imagine. It was just you and Cody, and then there was the pay-per-view with you and Cody and your father in the ring together.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
it was
again,
a very loud, electric night. I know that. It was one of the loudest.
I was sitting on this very couch, and I was feeling it. I mean, it came through.
You know why? Because it was a story. I mean,
and it was real.
It was real. It was a real story, man, and that's what I think is missing. When you get something like that can tell a story, and then a Shield on top of their game like they were, and involve Stephanie, and involve a job, and involve both of our jobs, and Dad comes in and gets in Stephanie's face, and screaming at her, and doing this, and just made it really real. So that match went down, man. It was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
Awesome.
It was
one of the most exciting. Probably that and the WrestleMania 12 were probably my two top favorite all-time matches.
Amazing. So let's catch everybody up. Of course, you just come off knee surgery. You're rehabbing the knees.
Yeah.
Is there a timetable as to when we might see you back in the ring?
Well, they said the doctor, Dr. Dugas, he's one of the best. He said 3 months to get them back to where they needed to be. And right now it's been 3 weeks. So they just went in arthroscopically and cleaned out some stuff that had been bothering me. So there wasn't anything majorly wrong, like an ACL tears or anything like that. And then they put a couple stem cell injections in, which I've heard a lot of good things about. So I'm excited for those to start working, because what I understand, they make them feel like new knees. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I've heard that before. Jerry Sizemore, longtime Longhorn legend, played for the Eagles, one of my dearest friends, and he, one that got me into the NFL alumni. He had something like that similar a couple years ago, and kind of the same thing. And you could see a difference in the way he's moving around. And this man, he's played offensive line for most of his life. So,
yes, and that's bad on the boys' knees, man.
It is.
Offensive, defensive line, man. The linemen are big boys too, so it definitely takes a toll on their knees.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Because you've set the example, and there have been stories like Mike Kanellis, currently on the SmackDown roster, formerly Mike Bennett from the Kingdom, and there are others. Have you had the chance to share your story with others in the locker room? Of course, we don't want to know names, but share your story and be that example for someone that might be going through the same thing.
There are times that it arises in the locker room and stuff. Nobody really asks me about. Well, some people. There's been a couple people that have been family members of coworkers that are going through some times, and they'll come up to me, and it's a good feeling that somebody's coming to ask me, because always I want to do is help and teach and get them to where they need to be, and hopefully before it's too late. set them kind of straight before it gets way, way out of hand, which we all know it gets out of hand. And when it does, it goes quick. And then there's it's kind of a waiting game. You have to wait it out and hope that they don't die or hope they don't get thrown in prison. Prison might be good for them, but I like it now. And lately, in the last probably year, a lot of the young talent have been coming up to me, and it makes me feel good that they're asking for my advice, and I show them things. And these kids are doing all kinds of stuff, and I'm trying to keep up with them. And, I'll be 50 in April. And they're all in their 20s and early 30s, and I'm just like, here I am out there trying to keep up with them, slow them down in certain spots. And I'm like, just slow down, easy. Give me a minute. God, I'm 50, man. My God, what you doing right now? You're diving out over here, coming back at me. Let me sell. That's what I do. I want to tell a story.
Oh, that's funny.
And they get all freaked out. Like one night, the Usos, it was me and Cody against the Usos. It's a really funny story. They flipped me over, and one of the Usos did this front flip gimmick, and his ass landed square on my head, and it knocked me silly.
Uh-oh.
It knocked me silly because they're big old boys. Yeah. They're bottom heavy boys. You know?
Yeah. I mean, look at their daddy.
Exactly. And they go to grab me, and I screamed an expletive. I was like, "Give me a minute," and they both went, "Oh God," and they freaked out. And we're in the middle of a TV match, right? So they're like. Then they grabbed my arm real gingerly while I gathered myself. Just give me a minute, Just give me a second. And they're like, okay, sorry, Goldie. And then I get my wits about me and I continue. But they tell that story in the locker room with everybody, and it just has everybody laughing.
Oh, man. I could just see that now. Let me ask you this. Here's something. Now, and I don't know if it's this way. I know it's this way in locker rooms. Where, back in the day, like you said, it was, have a few cases of beer or whatever in the locker room after the match. Nowadays, it's how many video game consoles can you have in the locker room? Because that seems to be the trend. Is there anything like that?
There is.
Okay,
yes.
That's what I was saying. Because
that's all they do anymore.
I mean, Xavier Woods has got his up, down series, so I think he's got pretty much the entire roster coming on his show. Have you been on his show yet?
I have been on his show a few times.
Okay, so are you a gamer?
I'm not a gamer.
See,
I'm terrible at games.
I had a hard enough time with Pac-Man.
When I go on his show.
Yeah, I had a hard enough time with Pac-Man. I'm not about to try.
The first show I did for him, it was like, I forget what game it was, and I just, the whole time I was saying, this game is stupid. So they wanted to keep bringing me back because I kept saying the game was stupid. And this game is so ridiculous and dumb. I can't play this, and I throw the console, and it's just like, but that's all they have now. It's not. It. They don't go out and party anymore.
No, they don't.
And it's not like it used to be.
And they don't eat they don't eat the 24-house porterhouse or whatever. I saw.
It's CrossFit.
Yes.
It's gym time. It's eating properly.
It's the ready
video
prep
games.
meals.
Yes.
Brian Cage, who of course works in Lucha Underground.
He's a big old boy.
I saw him. We have to now. Some of the companies that I work with, they have to have a microwave in the back.
We do too,
so that they can heat up. And I saw Brian Cage eating this little meal. These
little meal preps.
It looked like a little TV dinner.
Yeah.
So and you're right. He's a big boy. It didn't look like near enough food to feed him.
Yeah, but that one little meal prep, he'll probably eat like 5 or 6 of those a day.
Right. Exactly.
At different times. It's just how they do it now.
Yeah.
Me, I'll eat twice a day, and it's not always good.
No. Yeah, as me.
I'm never been a body guy. I try to stay fit and in shape, but I'm never been the guy to take off your shirt and go, damn, Goldust he's jacked. He's got a body. I'm Dusty's son, man. You know what I mean? I've got his genes in me, so.
That's why you had those full-length bodysuits.
That's right. I don't want to show my body.
That's right.
Nobody wants to see that.
That's right. Let me ask you this. So this last week, sworn in as honorary deputy for the Williamson County Sheriff Department.
Yeah, man.
How much did that mean to you? I mean, that had to have been really cool. I know you were really excited about it.
It was really, really cool because of our gym, Anytime Fitness in Liberty Hill. The owner there is a deputy, and he's part of the K9 team.
Right.
One of the K9s, Axel. And he wanted to shoot a little something with me because the department was starting to get involved with social media and things like that. and all the dogs had their Twitters now. And I said, yeah, man, I'd love to. And from that point on, it was like, man, I would love to meet Sheriff Chody and maybe become an honorary deputy, you know, because I was thinking my dad was an honorary deputy in Florida, in Hillsborough County and in Pasco County, and he had a badge, and it was just cool.
You tweeted out a picture. Follow him on at Goldust on Twitter. You tweeted out the picture. Had the picture ID, had the badge, and it said Dustin Rhodes.
Badges right there.
Yeah,
and from Florida,
right,
and which was passed on to my nephews, and I was like, that would be so cool if I could actually do that. And we had a meeting. We started talking about the things that I was wanting to do and accomplish, and getting and helping with the bullying and the drug addiction and try to get it off the streets. And and he comes from that same kind of background, and his ideals we were kind of the same. So it kind of took a shape of its own, and he brought me in, and we did some videos with releasing one of the canines that got thrown in jail, which was very entertaining.
It was.
And he swore me in and I got a badge and everything, and it was just really cool, and it was like legal. It was really neat.
Yeah.
He forgot to give me that little piece of paper thing that has the name on it. You know what I mean? And once I tweeted that picture, he went, I forgot to give you I gave you the badge, but I didn't give you the thing with your picture on it.
Oh, man.
But
so he's going to have to get that to you sooner or later.
He texted me a picture today.
Okay, well, good.
Of it already done. So I was, but yeah, man, he wants me to go on rides with him and go to some schools and talk now. And I've told him my concerns about that. Like when I talk about drugs and alcohol and things, it's nerve-wracking. When I'm out in front of an audience, cutting a promo is different. But when I get in front of like a bunch of just kids that are misbehaving and things like that, talking about drugs, I have certain ways that I want to approach it. And I'm scared to death to do it. It's you wouldn't think that me being, in front of millions of people talking on the microphone and stuff. It's kind of a stage fright thing, man. Because I know I'm going to get emotional. I want to scare the holy living Jesus out of these kids because it's real. Yeah. But it's very frightening to stand up in front of a crowd and talk about those things. But I want to do that.
Like that. Right.
Yes, I want to do that. I really want to help in my community in any way that I can, with that, with bullying, because so many kids are bullied. I was bullied when I was a little tyke. So it's just no good anymore, man. Kids are getting bullied, and it's just the world has gone to hell in a handbasket. Right. It's just gotten worse and worse and worse.
Well, but it's going to take people like you and like Sheriff Chody and organizations that can help. I think they can help, and I think
getting to know Sheriff Chody, man, is and I haven't known him that long, but he is from what I can see, I'm a pretty good judge of character, and he's a hell of a dude. Yeah, and I think he's really good for Williamson County and his community, and they say it's one of the toughest to drive through, and I'm like, well, I don't understand that, but if you follow the law and you obey the law, then nothing bad is going to happen to you.
Yeah, you and I both know how people act sometimes.
Yes, they act, but he's a really good dude, really good department over there, good crew.
Goldust, and it's weird for me to call you Goldust because you're not wearing the face paint. I want to call you Dust, but I'll call you Goldust.
You can call me whatever you want.
I'll call man. This has been so much fun. I am so glad that we got connected. I got to ask you because we are just a few weeks away from football season. Yeah, you've been following it. Yeah. Let me get your opinion. What do you think of your Longhorns, of our Longhorns?
I think we had a really good recruiting class this year. Yeah, the last 2 years we have. And
practice starts the end of this week.
Yeah. I think Ellinger is going to have a stand-up year. I think Collins is going to, or Johnson's going to have Colin Johnson is going to have a stand-up year. Yeah. I think they're going to hook up a lot throughout the year, and we're actually going to surprise a lot of people and open a lot of eyes. And try to get this Texas Longhorn that I knew back in like 2005 back to that team, that powerhouse that the Big 12 is.
Yeah.
You know, the Texas Longhorns are a powerhouse, just like the Sooners, and we don't like the Sooners, and we know that.
That's right.
But they're a powerhouse, and
They
have remained a powerhouse, and I want to see the Longhorns back there so bad. And it's like I get discouraged last year and the year before and the year before that, and it's just like, but if you're a diehard Longhorn fan, man, this is Longhorn Nation. We are Texas, you know.
That's
and
right.
It's like you got to stick with your boys, and hopefully this year we. Who's our opening game against? USC?
Maryland at Maryland, September 1st.
Okay.
It's going to be at FedEx Field, you know, where the Redskins play.
I haven't really looked at the schedule this year.
So we start at Maryland and then home against USC and
USC's first home game
and Tulsa. Yeah, USC is the home game.
Okay.
Saturday the 8th.
I'm looking forward.
It's a night game on Fox. That'll be a big one. I've said. If they can come out of non-conference at best 2-1, I think things are looking good. If they come out 3-0, watch out, because this could be then I think tighten the bootstraps. I think we're about to go for a ride. So
I agree with you.
And the Big 12 is so wide open this year.
Yeah,
even Oklahoma's not that solid because they got to replace Baker Mayfield. And believe me, I covered him in high school. Mm-hmm. You know, and
how do you think he's going to do?
Size is going to be an issue, but then again, Drew Brees was the same way. You know, I think that he's got the leadership potential.
Yeah,
because you know that's how he did it in Oklahoma. That's how he did it when he was that year walk on at Texas Tech.
You don't see another.
That's what he did at Lake Travis.
Manziel and him, do you?
He's not like Manziel. Yeah. He's a knucklehead, but not. I don't think he's to that extent.
Yeah,
you know. And I saw Manziel in high school when he was in high school, and I think there's a familial tie-in with Manziel, and you know his family's not exactly the most stand-up family. Let's just say that. You know, a lot of old East Texas oil money.
Yeah.
I think Baker will be okay. I think he's got I think working working second string for the Browns this year, I think that'll help. I figure he's going to start probably about midway, just because they're paying him that much money. Mm-hmm. He's going to start a game this year.
Sure.
Because it's the Browns.
I expect him to.
You know, so.
Well, how's the Big 12 looking, you think?
Well, like I said, it's wide open. I think Kansas is always going to be Kansas. And I think, but outside of Kansas, there are at least 7 teams that you can't say no to. You know, Oklahoma is the favorite right now. Mm-hmm. But again, you've got to replace Baker Mayfield at quarterback. The defense,
they lost a bunch of players.
They did. The defense is not a stronghold. Yeah. Mike Stoops is not the defensive guru that everybody thought he was.
He's not.
I think Todd Orlando has won the trust of Longhorn Nation, and I think the Longhorn defense is going to be just fine if they can figure out the quarterback thing. If Sam Ehlinger can stay healthy and he can cure those last minute decisions that he made last year.
Yeah.
We are going to see Shane Buechele playing, and I think you're going to need both of them.
I like him. I like him out of the pocket.
I really do.
I like him when he's out of the pocket. I think when he rolls out to the left, I always see a completion from him.
Yeah.
Always.
He's really good. I think the passing game will be fine. If they can find, I've been saying, yes, have multiple running backs, but you need a feature back. You need a Ricky Williams, a Cedric Benson, somebody like that can be the workhorse, get the ball 20, 25 times a game, and just let them tear it up. If they can do that, offensive line will be better. Texas has a shot at it. Oklahoma State has a shot at it. I wouldn't put it past Baylor. I like Matt Rule. I think he's a great guy. Their starting quarterback, Charlie Brewer, was the starting quarterback at Lake Travis when they won the state title in 2016.
Yeah.
Charlie Brewer is as accurate.
I went to their game last year.
He reminds me a lot of Colt McCoy as far as the accuracy goes. Yeah. So I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun to watch. The whole Big 12 will be fun to watch. And so, yeah, I mean, should be a lot of fun.
So what do you think we're going to end up? What kind of record? See, I don't like to say that kind of stuff because I just don't like to jinx it.
Most of the betting books have them the over under at 8.5. I've been saying if they win 8 and go to the bowl game, I'm happy. Yeah. If they win 9 in a bowl game, I am thrilled because then that's okay. Nice. Now we're starting to see the shades of the Mac Brown era.
Yes.
So
I miss old Mac.
I do too. I saw him.
I like Herman, man. But I miss Mac.
I love Mac to death. Saw him and Sally back in May. Ran into Casey Studdard today at the station. You know, he hosts Big Ugly Outdoors on Saturdays. He's got the food truck, Whitfield's, down in South Austin. Okay. You got to try that one of these days. Some fantastic brisket.
The 3 that come up with us is the Waffle Love, a couple more, but I haven't heard of that one. So I'll have to check that one out. Yeah. What is it called?
Whitfield's. Yep, Whitfield's. I'll send you the info.
Yeah, man. So, please do.
Man, Goldust, it's so good to talk to you, my friend. And it means a lot to me because we were talking before. I've had Cody on, and Cody is one of my favorite people. He and Brandy are as sweet as can be, and to finally get you, I hold your family and your father in such high regard. Wow, and I never got a chance to meet him and to talk to him, but I get to talk to you. I get to talk to Cody, and it's that connection. And not to mention, you two are two of the best at what you do. And it means a lot to me because
it's in the blood. You know what I mean?
It is in the blood.
You got to meet us, and we're just living through him. So you kind of talking to dream through us.
And I realize that, and like I said, it just means the world to me. So
well, I appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
Much, and please if you want to, anytime you want me to do this again, I would love to.
You have an open invitation. We'll bring you in. We're going to bring you in some stuff, but you have an open. Anytime you want to sit in, you've got a seat. We'll put a mic up and we'll just talk about anything. Much. Well, maybe we'll do some football. Do some Longhorns and Cowboys, and that'll do it for this week's Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. Again, my sincere thanks to the Golden One, Goldust, a.k.a. the natural Dustin Rhodes, for joining me in studio. Such a great conversation. You can find Justin Smash Simmons on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at The Smash Simmons. And, of course, he'll be back next week. We got to preview SummerSlam. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Stu Myrick. That's STEWMYRICK. You can follow the show on Twitter at SGTWATX. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. We are proud to be the official broadcast partner of the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. Proud to be part of the Cheap Pops podcast network that you find on blogtalkradio.com. And we're proud to be a part of the great lineup you hear every day on the flagship station for the Texas Longhorns. We are the Horn, 104.9 AM 1260. Catch us Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Central on the Horn, or you can catch us anytime on demand by going to hornfm.com and clicking on the on-air tab, or by subscribing to us on your favorite podcast platform. My thanks to Goldust for joining us, and my thanks to you for giving us a little bit of your time tonight. Until next time, I'm Stu. We will see you at the matches.
Goodbye and good. Mwah.